This week, we've seen some big changes for the Linux gaming world, including open source game news and the Steam Deck verified program expanding. Plus, we'll talk about Proton's 6-year anniversary, and we'll talk about the small change that came to Steam reviews that'll make a big difference for Steam Deck gamers. All this and more today. First up, let's talk about some open source gaming news. We have Descent 3 here with a new version 1.5.0. If you haven't played Descent, it's a really fun game, and it just became open source about a few months ago. Yeah, a few months ago. It was in April. There's been a small community of developers, 28 individuals who have contributed over the last couple of months, and they have been able to make up the gap of the never released version 1.5 patch of the game. And this makes the open source version more convenient for players, as well as more accessible to a wide variety of devices. Now, this patch to the game really just improves compatibility with modern CPUs and GPUs, and it's aiming to improve the developer experience while retaining pretty much feature parity with the original release of the game. However, going forward, there will definitely be more changes coming for the game, for this open source client. It's quite exciting to see old video games getting their client code released, and I love the model, the way that they're doing this, where they can still sell copies of their game, but the client is free. So you can download the client, and theoretically you could replace all of the assets with custom made ones. That's not a trivial task to do, but theoretically it could be done. Very exciting to see this kind of stuff, and I'm super stoked to see where this goes from here. Next up, let's talk about Command & Conquer Combined Arms. This is a completely free mod for OpenRA, and it combines various factions from the Command & Conquer games into a single playable title. You can play as 5 different factions: the Allies, the Soviets, the GDI, the Nod, and the Scrid. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a huge Command & Conquer fan. It's one of my favorite games from when I was a child, and by golly, I absolutely love this kind of stuff. So if you haven't tried Combined Arms, there's a new version of the game available right now. It actually came out on August 13th, so just a few days ago. And update 1.03 is now available. It has major feature improvements, impressive artwork, and engaging sound and music to boost your gaming experience. I'm just loving the way that the assets look here. There's a new rank system for Soviet forces, which sounds interesting. And these animated GIFs, I mean, look at that. Now we can check out the full changelog on their Discord. I wish developers would stop doing this. Yeah, lots of cool stuff with this update here. Mostly balancing changes and new ways of diversifying the factions to make them play even more differently than they already do from each other. Now, I'm definitely going to be checking this out. Drop a star in the comments if you want to see me do a live stream or maybe a gameplay overview of this change here, this new mod, because like I said, Command & Conquer is one of my favorite games ever made. Actually, Tiberian Sun is like kind of number one in my heart in terms of atmosphere. Gameplay could use a little bit of help. Red Alert 2, obviously, also really great. OpenRA is tremendous. It's such a great game. So let me know if you want to see me cover this game, talk about how it plays on a Steam Deck, talk about how it plays on PC. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, it's been about a month since we've talked about the most played games on the Steam Deck, so we're going to go ahead and check in on that. So this is interesting because, like I said last time, we don't usually see a lot of change in terms of the most played games on Steam Deck, except this month we have seen some more pretty interesting growth and displacement on this list. Number 1, Elden Ring. No surprise, everybody on the Steam Deck pretty much loves Elden Ring. Then we have Stardew Valley, which is at the same level it was at about a month ago, which is good to see. I love this game so much. Baldur's Gate 3 has moved up a rank to number 3, while with Balatro falling down to number 4 here on this list. But now we have Black Myth Wukong, which is a new game that a lot of people are pretty stoked about. A lot of people, Rock Paper Shotgun's review of it said that it's actually a better Elden Ring than Elden Ring. Now, those kind of aren't really my style of games, and there's some like drama going on with Black Myth that makes me not really interested in this title, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Then we have No Man's Sky, which has moved up 12 spaces since last week, I guess. So this isn't over month, this is week over week. No Man's Sky, it's a game that deserves a lot of attention because it's been on a journey, as we all know. Vampire Survivors up 1 place. Grand Theft Auto 5 up 1 place. Fallout 4 down 2 spaces. Then we have Slay the Spire, which is up 7 spaces over last week. Cyberpunk 2077 at number 11. Then we have Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, Red Dead Redemption 2, Diablo 4, and then we have Hades, which has dropped 9 spaces over last week. And Dave the Diver, which is down at number 16, dropping 11 spaces. Rounding out the end of the list, we have Skyrim Special Edition, which has re-entered the top 20 over last month, if I remember correctly. Then we have Cult of the Lamb, which is up 15 spaces. We have Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and we have Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Interestingly, Hades 2 has fallen out of the top 20, down to 21st place. And Fields of Mystria, which is a new title that just debuted, that Emily actually told me about, is now at 24. So it'll be interesting to see where Fields of Mystria goes from here. I suspect we'll see it at the top of, or at least in the top 20. If we look at this week, we have Black Myth Wukong at number 1, and we have Fields of Mystria down here at number 11. So interesting stuff. I'm very excited to see where this list goes. It's really great to be able to kind of dig into these numbers in real time and take a look at what's most popular being played on the Steam Deck right now. And again, Fields of Mystria is it's a AAA title. You know, the fact that it is just working on the Steam Deck and people seem to be loving it. I mean, it's number 1 on the list here, and it's not even verified for Deck. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. It's a brand new release. Let me know what games you're playing on the Steam Deck right now down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But speaking of Black Myth Wukong, there has been some weirdness going on. So apparently they have been trying to police what people are allowed to talk about while live streaming the game. You're not allowed to insult other influencers or players. Okay, fair enough, right? Do not use any offensive language or humor. All right, treading into some weird territory as a game developer trying to police what what people playing your game can talk about. But then it says, do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, which is a hard word to say for me, and other content that instigates negative discourse. Okay, buddy. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19, and do not discuss content related to China's game industry policies, opinions, news, etc. So apparently Game Science is a Tencent subsidiary. They're the developers behind Wukong, and y'all know how I feel about Tencent. And we have some very, very strange stipulations here for the people live streaming their game. Leave your thoughts down below. Thought I'd mention it because it's interesting, and this is literally the number 1 game this week on Steam Deck, so figured I'd mention it. So let's talk about Dragon Age the Veilguard, which is a game coming out in October. A lot of people are very excited about this title, and it's already Steam Deck verified. That's wonderful to see. I mean, this is like the next big release for the Dragon Age franchise, and they are targeting the Steam Deck. There's a lot of people out there who are saying, dude, you know, why are you still talking about the Steam Deck? It's antiquated hardware. It's very, very, underpowered and blah, blah, blah. But listen, guys, that is an old mindset when it comes to PC gaming. Guys, this hardware right here is the closest thing that we have to standard PC hardware, which means that game developers will be able to target this hardware in a way that won't compromise the performance of the game, or like the high-end performance of the game for other PC like hardware. So even though people are saying like, oh, it has an anemic GPU and the CPU could, at least the fact is, game developers can target this. and they can make an experience for this specific hardware that is common amongst all Steam Deck owners. And they can make their game work on this hardware, right? We're seeing that with games like Dragon Age the Veilguard, and we're seeing it with like Black Myth Wukong. So there are going to be AAA games released this year and next year that still work excellent on the Steam Deck. Even though the hardware at that, next year, the hardware is going to be almost 4 years old. I mean, probably even if you think about when the CPU was actually designed, it's closer to 5 years old, right? In a lot of ways, this is obsolete hardware, except for the fact that it is a standard piece of kit that is common. So the fact that there's millions of people with Steam Decks in hand means that this, you're going to continue to see games like this, brand new AAA titles that are going to work on the Steam Deck day one. Just the fact that they're supporting it, it's wonderful to me. So anyway, I just wanted to point out the fact that they're happy to have Steam native support, as they call it, with the game, and that's already Steam Deck verified. They have cloud saves, which lets you seamlessly switch back and forth between your PC and your Steam Deck as much as you want with no interruption to your progress. So if you want to like sit on your sofa while having like the best graphical performance, if you have a good PC in your office or whatever, you can just stream that gameplay to your Steam Deck, which is also really cool. So exciting stuff to see, like a big publisher like Electronic Arts having their games Steam Deck verified. It makes a huge difference, and I'm super stoked to see what other AAA games are going to have Steam Deck support, Deck verified on day one. All right, next up. Now, when this video goes live, there's only a few hours left to pick up the Board Game Night bundle on Humble. There's 9 games here with 2 DLC packs and a few coupons if you're into that, and it's only $18. And you guys seem to really like this bundle, so I just wanted to give you a heads up and say there's only a few hours left when this goes live. I'm recording this on Thursday, so on Friday there's only going to be probably 12 hours or so left. So if you want to pick it up, you better do so quickly. If you use my link below, I'll get a small commission for you using my link. And there's also you supporting charity by doing it. The World Wildlife Fund gets a customizable amount as well. And if you use my link, thank you. Next up, Liam has reminded us that it has been 6 years since Valve launched Proton. 6 years. I remember when Valve first launched Proton. They first announced it. I have a video that I covered the news here. It's old, it's bad, but you can watch it if you want. And it took 6 years for them to launch an official logo for Proton, which I think is actually really clever. It's got the Valve like piston or a portion of it with orbitals around it. Pretty nifty, I think. But there have been 66 releases of Proton during that time. There's been nearly 400 changes to the Proton changelog since the tool was released. Some of them are text corrections, but you get the idea. It's an incredible amount of work. They've partnered with multiple open source projects. They have paid tons of open source developers to do this work. And it's why Proton is where it's at right now, because Valve has so heavily invested in this code to make their platform better and more accessible to more platforms. And the fact that Proton exists opens up the door to a lot of open source projects like GE Proton or Wine GE, right? Or Roberta or Boxtron or Luxtorpeda. All of these open source projects just would not be possible if Valve didn't have this entry point that Proton provides to the Steam client. So it's just wonderful. This is the kind of stuff that really warms my heart. To see a company like Valve recognize the value of open source, oh man, it gets me going. I love it. Now, some of the biggest news to come out of Valve this week was the fact that they released Windows drivers for the Steam Deck OLED. This is cool. If you were excited about this, I'm happy for you. If you were waiting for OLED drivers for your Steam Deck, good. I'm happy for you. I do want to mention that this is not official support, right? Valve does not officially support Windows on the Steam Deck, and you can tell. In order to actually update your BIOS, you have to install SteamOS on your machine, right? Like you have to upgrade SteamOS in order to get the latest BIOS updates for your Steam Deck. I don't think that there is a mechanism for you to do that otherwise. So before you install Windows on your Steam Deck, you need to make sure that you opt into the SteamOS beta through version at least 3.6.9, which whatever you opt into, you're going to get a later version than that. We're already on version 10, it looks like. 3.6.10, I should say. But these drivers work for the APU, the SD card reader, the Wi-Fi driver, the Bluetooth driver. Again, you need to have the latest firmware, and you have to get it through SteamOS beta. And there's an issue with the Bluetooth driver where it's currently output only. So, you're not going to get microphone functionality through a Bluetooth headset. Also, audio only works via headphones or through Bluetooth on the OLED. The speaker drivers are the last thing that they're apparently going to include here. It's not functioning yet. And I think that's kind of how it was on the LCD model too. The speaker drivers just didn't work from even after they get the audio drivers figured out. Also, it's important to note that dual booting is not supported yet, but as soon as Valve drops their SteamOS like public ISO, that should be available, or it should follow shortly thereafter. There are ways that you can install Windows on the internal SSD and SteamOS on an SD card. That's not technically dual booting, but it works it's functionally similar. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Have you been waiting for the Steam Deck to get OLED drivers for Windows? I would like to know why. Leave me a comment below. So speaking of Windows, though, we should talk about this security update because, this channel isn't just about the Steam Deck. It's about Linux and gaming. So this week, for some reason, Microsoft decided to fix a 2-year-old bug in Grub, which is like the bootloader for Linux machines. And this fix re-enables secure boot. I'm not 100% sure on the technical details of this, but what I do know is that the practical implementation of Microsoft's fix has ended up breaking several different distributions Linux installs when they were dual booting. Yeah, the update that Microsoft launched here, it stops vulnerable Linux EFIs or shim loaders from running, and it causes the system to just display this message: verifying shim SBAT data failed, security policy violation. Something has gone seriously wrong. Which looks terrifying, but really it's just that this code is being prevented from being executed by, I guess, secure boot. It looks like Linux Mint and Zorin OS are the two most affected by it, but there might be other distributions. I couldn't find more information about that. However, several people have pointed out that this SBAT revocations boot process post on Canonical's forum should be everything you need to do to fix this issue on your machine. I will drop a link to that in the description if you are facing this on your desktop, or if you've installed multiple operating systems on your Steam Deck, you can use this to fix it. Doesn't look too complicated. And if you're a Linux user, you can probably figure it out. Next up, let's talk about this change that just dropped for the review system on Steam. You can actually notice here that there is a Steam Deck icon, and it says this reviewer played this game primarily on Steam Deck at the time of writing 2.5 hours. So when they wrote the review for this game, they had played pretty much all of their time, 2.6 hours, on the Steam Deck. Yeah, I think this is a good change, along with the recent change that Valve made to reviews to make them more helpful to people. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think this is a nice little aesthetic change that really helps inform Steam Deck gamers if the game's going to work on their system. And you know what? This is actually a review of my game, Dude Links Arcade Sports Ball. Is one of those rare genre-defining titles that spawns many imitators but has yet to be bested. The genre? The sports-like. Pit your dudelings against each other in a frenetic battle for massive points in a way that vaguely resembles a real-world sport where you touch grass and stuff. Doodling's Arcade Sports Ball delivers the fast, arcadey sports-like action that you crave. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. But yeah, Doodlings is a fun little title. Lots of folks seem to really enjoy it. It has very positive reviews. 100% of them are positive on Steam here. So yeah, if you wanted to pick that up and help the show, it's greatly appreciated. With that said, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover this week on the show. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like that smash button to stay up to date with all the fun stuff that we're doing here on the channel. I mean, it's really the best way that you can tell YouTube that you want to see more videos just like this. You can also get subscribed if that's more your speed. Up here, I have a recent video. You should definitely check that out, or you can watch a recommended video as well. That works too. With that said, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.